How you guys doing? Welcome back to Country Mash. I hope you guys have been awesome. Today we're talking about the ACSS LPVOs, or low powered variable optics, versus the ACSS Prism Scopes. Alright, so you guys know I do a lot of testing and reviews for the various ACSS optics, and naturally I get a ton of questions from you guys asking me which one you should get. And it's really hard to answer that question, so I'm doing these videos to kind of help you guys get to the answer you guys are looking for without necessarily giving you an answer. So at this point, you guys have probably decided that you want a magnified optic. You're not looking at red dots or the one-powered Prism Scopes. So I'm going to go over the differences and pros and cons of the LPVOs, or low-powered variable optics, such as a 1:6 or 1:8, versus the Prism Scopes. And so once I give you guys the different traits of each style of optic, I'm going to give you guys some things to think about and to consider, as well as give you guys some questions that you guys can ask yourself that will help you define what your application is, which will help you decide which one's best for you. So these optics from Primary Arms all have a couple traits in common, which probably make it a little bit difficult to actually choose which one you should get. They're all budget optics that are decent optics. They're definitely some of the best ones in their price range. They all have a version of the ACSS reticle that we have all come to love. They're all versatile, some more versatile than others. We'll get to that in a second. And they all have illumination. So with that said, let's talk about the LPVOs. The first thing that sets them apart from the Prism Scopes are that they have a variable magnification. So you could change your magnification all the way down from 1 power up to 6 power or 8 power if you decide to go for the 1:8. They're going to be a little bit longer than a Prism Scope. They take up a little bit more real estate on your rifle. They are going to weigh a little bit more. Also adding to that, the fact that they don't have integrated mounts. You're going to have to buy a separate mount, which will add a little bit more weight. They also have a very generous eye relief, as well as a wide field of view, which does make the overall shooting experience a little bit more enjoyable. Now with the Prism Scopes, they are indeed a fixed power, which means you are stuck at whatever magnification that you choose to buy. So the Gen 2 version of the Prism Scopes they have out right now come in the 3 power and the 5 power, and those are the ones that I have. Though you could get some places, and I think they still sell them on their website. They have the 2.5 and the 4 power. They're the older versions of the Prism Scopes, but they are fixed power, so you're stuck with that. So if you want to shoot close range, you will have to use it's a technique where you're using your dominant shooting eye through the optic, and you're superimposing that reticle over what your other eye is seeing. So if you're right eye dominant, you have your right eye looking through the optic, while your left eye is open looking at the target, and together you're able to kind of see the reticle over your target. It's called the bend and aiming concept, but that aside, they are compact. They are lighter weight than the LPVOs. They are still pretty versatile for what they are, but because they are a fixed power, which having a fixed power on an optic just inherently makes it a little bit more durable. And then Prism Scopes are also just very tough optics, so these definitely have the advantage as far as being incredibly rugged. Also, because it's fixed power, there is less to operate on it. There's no magnification ring that you have to fuss around with, and some people may like that, some people may not. We're going to discuss that in a little bit when we get to the questions and things to consider. And when we come to eye relief and field of view, it's not the greatest on the Prism Scopes. They have a short eye relief, a pretty small eye box, and they don't have the greatest field of view. So the main pros of an LPVO are that it's extremely versatile. It has a really nice eye relief as far as a really wide field of view. The pros of a Prism Scope are that it's compact, it's lightweight, and it's extremely rugged and durable. So now that we've talked about some of the obvious differences and maybe some of the not so obvious differences, let's talk about some things that you guys would want to consider, or maybe give you guys some questions to ask yourself. The first one that comes to mind is, how much does rugged durability really matter to you? Is this going on a rifle that's going to be a ranch gun? Is this something that you're on a really tight budget, but you do want to have a really tough optic that's really durable for a life and liberty type of firearm, a Prism Scope is probably what you're going to want. Are you into competition shooting or 3-gun, or do you spend a ton of time at the range? You're probably going to be looking for an LPVO, something like a 1-6 or a 1-8. It's going to have the versatility that you need for those types of shooting. Does simplicity matter to you? Does the fact of having to mess with your magnification bother you? Do you just want to throw an optic on your rifle and set it and forget it and never have to do anything with it after you zero it? The Prism Scope is probably going to be what you're looking for in that situation, because there's really nothing to it other than just setting your zero. Another question is, are you indecisive as to what magnification you want for your shooting? Maybe you're not sure even after all these questions, and you're like, I don't know if I would want a 3 power or a 5 power or even maybe a 1 power. Maybe you're going back to possibly wanting a 1 power optic. An LPVO is probably the better route to go because you are able to shoot and kind of play around with all the different levels of magnification. So ultimately, all of these optics are great. I really can't see you going wrong with either of them. I shoot all of these all the time. I really enjoy them. I trust them. They're all very durable for their price. Obviously, these are not war-ready optics. They are budget optics. So you should expect as much. But the Prism Scopes are going to be incredibly durable. If I wanted a rifle to be set up as tough as I possibly can, but I was on a budget, I would definitely go with the Prism Scope. But I wouldn't fear for my life if I had a 1-6 on it. So I do like all these scopes. It just kind of comes down to what your guys' needs are, what you're going to be using it for. And if you don't really have any major needs, it kind of just comes down to what you want, what your preference is. I use all these scopes all the time, and I go back and forth all the time. I can't really tell you one is better than the other because there isn't a best option. There isn't a one. There will never be a one scope or one optic that can do it all. So I hope this video helped a little bit. It may not have been as cut and dry and clear as the second focal plane versus the first focal plane video, simply because there are some things that are subjective. There are some pros and cons that I could have delved a lot deeper into that some people may disagree with. So I was trying to keep it really black and white. So I hope you guys got some sort of value out of this video. Hopefully you guys liked it. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button. Thank you to everyone who subscribed to the channel. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.